Okay, so in the last video we talked about non-value returning methods, and I think I should have pointed this out that void, if you declare a method as void, that means it doesn't return anything, okay? And you'll see a counter example of that in this video. So let's say we want to get the user's number, okay? Or maybe we want to get the user's number multiple times. Um, Rather than making a new scanner up here and then making another scanner and getting their input again, we could make a method to encapsulate that. And then if we want the user's input, we could just call get user input. So let's go ahead and do that. So public static, and instead of void, we're going to return an int, okay? Get user number. Okay, and we don't need any parameters. So let's go ahead and make a scanner. And once we're done that, let's go ahead and we'll make a temporary variable. So temp input equals input.nextInt, okay? So we're just going to hold the value that they put in here into this temp input variable. And we're going to go ahead and return temp input, okay? And returns a keyword that whenever you call it, execution will stop in this method and get thrown back to the calling method. So for instance, if I put sout a right there, you're going to see the ID is going to give you a red line saying unreachable statement, okay? And that's because as soon as the compiler hits this, it's never going to get to this, okay? It's going to pull out of this method and then be back into main. So if you want something to happen, you need it before the return, okay? And so now what we can do, let's say we want to get the user's number. So we'll give them a prompt. We'll say enter a number. Okay? And then what we can say is we can say int user number equals get user number, okay? So a little different than how we do it before, because usually we just say int number equals 9. Well, now we can assign it to a method that returns the returns the value that the user enters as long as it's of the same type, okay? So if this was a string, for instance, okay, it's going to say it requires a string, but it found an int, and it found an int because this method is returning an integer. Okay, so let's turn that back to that, and let's go ahead and now we can print that. And I'll show you guys how to make this into a little bit simpler one-liner here in a moment. So if we run this, okay, so it says enter number. I'm going to enter 400, and then it takes that result that we enter, returns it to int user number, and then we take user number and pass it to print number. Now, rather than take enough memory space to just store this user number just so we can print it out, you could actually take this method and put it into here, okay? Let me comment that line. So that way it goes in this number, and whatever it returns, it's going to send it back here and print that out, okay? So let's go ahead and just run that just so I can show you. So if we type 5,000, it's going to just return that. Instead of storing it in a temporary variable, it's going to pass it right into here. And actually, we could use that same principle on this line. I'm going to comment this out just so you can see the difference here. Rather than creating a variable and storing the input in that, we could just say return input.nextInt, okay? So if we run this, 400, you'll see that it went ahead and returned it just like it has before, but we cut down on lines. Well, we cut down 2 lines, okay? Which on bigger programs, when you do things like that, or just do simple things like putting methods together, it can save you a lot of space, okay? Alright, so that's going to be it for the value returning method tutorial, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.